Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, good.
Well, do you have any guesses about what just happened?
They got ambushed by the enemy.
Ambush? Okay, well, that's a really good guess. We're not exactly sure what happened, so I think we should go follow our storytellers to find out.
Okay, I guess I was wrong.
Alright, well, it seems like we all made it back safely, and our storytellers are here as well. So I'll just go ahead and ask Samaya what just happened. Hey, Samaya. Oh, wait a minute. Where'd she go? Well...
Excuse me?
Hey, so what happened out there?
So, I guess you figured out we weren't really under attack.
Bulls. We were rushed by bulls. We were being harassed by a herd of cattle.
They were longhorns. No soldiers, though.
Thankfully, only a few of the men were injured, and casualties were limited to a few mules.
They sure made a mess of that camp, though. Still, I was grateful for the extra food.
Well, it looks like we survived the Battle of the Bulls.
The cattle had been abandoned by a rancher at San Bernardino who had been driven out by Indians. In fact, everywhere there was supposed to be an army gathered to fight us, there wasn't one.
Somewhere along the way, we started to think more about surviving the desert and getting to the ocean than whether we would have to fight.
Finally, on January 27, 1847, we arrived at the ocean. Had been one of the longest marches in U.S. military history.
And just as Brigham Young promised, by staying faithful to the Lord, we didn't face a single battle.
Some people ask, was it really worth it?
The local Californios had heard all kinds of rumors of an army of religious zealots on their way to destroy them.
So you can imagine their surprise when we showed up and started helping them to build their city.
The men introduced brick firing to San Diego. Bricks hadn't been used here since the Spanish fathers built their missions with sun-dried adobe bricks.
And the rest of us hired out our services to construct and whitewash buildings and fences, and we helped to build the first courthouse in the city, which is a lot like the building we're in now.
And several of the battalion members constructed 20 brick-lined wells.
Some say our ragged little battalion's march changed history.
That's true. We established a trail from Santa Fe to the coast that was completely passable by wagon.
That's right, and so many people used it that it became one of the contributing reasons for the Gadsden Purchase in 1854, where the United States bought the southern parts of New Mexico and Arizona from the Mexican government.
And not only that, but our road became the primary route for the Southern Pacific Railroad.
The battalion march ended up being a blessing for the church. Their wages, clothing allowance, and gold dust from Sutter's Mill helped to pay for the migration to the Salton Valley.
And the experience we received on the march trained us to be leaders and able frontiersmen. Brigham Young later called on us to help settle what is now Utah.
But here's the real miracle. Remember when so many of our people were sick in Santa Fe? The battalion members sought desert farming and irrigation techniques used by the local citizens. After wintering in Pueblo, these battalion men, women, and children arrived in the Salt Lake Valley shortly after our first company arrived there. They brought with them the techniques needed to farm the Utah desert. We were able to grow crops before winter.
So, in the end, the battalion's march not only helped our people find a peaceful home in the West, but also helped us to survive once we got there.
Uno, dos, tres. ¿Se está ahí? ¿Se gusta?
We became friends. Americans, Mexicans, Mormons, soldiers, and volunteers. Funny thing, God gave us what we wanted the most, from where we least expected it.
Alright, welcome back to San Diego. We both just traveled over 2,000 miles in about 40 minutes, so nice job. Took these men about 6 months to make this same journey, and when they arrived here, their prophet's promise had come true that they didn't have to fight in a single battle. They were still enlisted for another 6 months, so they spent the rest of their time here just helping to build up the town. So that's why we end in this room. It represents the first brick courthouse that the members of the battalion helped to build. And then pictured here is Oliver Witherby. He was the first district judge, and he loved the service that the members of the battalion gave. And he actually didn't want them to leave, so he had some members of the community sign a petition asking them to stay another 6 months. And 82 of those men did, but the rest went on to be united with their families.
He went back?
A lot of them went back, some of them went north. Yeah.
Well, I really love the story of the Mormon battalion because every time it just shows me that when we have faith in Jesus Christ, we can do hard things. And I know that the Mormon battalion, that they didn't really want to enlist in the beginning. It was a hard decision, and it was a hard journey for them. They faced a lot of difficult times, but every day they were putting that faith in Jesus Christ. And because of that, they really were able to overcome that. They were able to find a lot of peace and a lot of happiness. And I know that if we do the same thing when difficult times come into our lives, that we can find that strength that we need to keep going. Because Jesus Christ, He loves each of us, and He died for each of us that He could help us in those difficult times. And I know that that's true, and I know that He loves each of us. And we do have these guest cards for you, so this half is for you to keep, to remember the faith of these men and about your experience here. Then over here, if you want to leave any of your comments or suggestions, or if you would like to learn more about this message of faith, we have missionaries all over the world, so we'd love to have them reach out to you if that's something you'd be interested in. So,
That's okay. Thank you.
yeah, so you can take one of these cards if you'd like to keep it as a souvenir. And so there, you can grab one in here or in the next room. In the next room, we also have some original artifacts you can look at, and we can take a black and white souvenir photo of you.
Oh, cool.
So you're officially discharged.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yay. We
Yeah.
served our service. Okay. Wow. Musket.